Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Electricity Town Hall, a program being sponsored by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, aimed at keeping consumers of electricity abreast of happenings in the nation's power sector. This program comes your way every Monday on the network service of Radio Nigeria at 7 o'clock in the evening. NERC is the regulator for the nation's power sector, interfacing with electricity generation companies known as GENCOs, the transmission companies of Nigeria TCN, and the distribution companies DISCOs. I am David Umoru, your anchor. The Nigerian electricity supply industry, NERC, is a framework for electricity generation, transmission and distribution in Nigeria. It's a critical sector that plays a vital role in Nigeria's economic development, fueling industries and improving the standard of living. However, the NERC faces ongoing challenges such as providing reliable and affordable power for a growing population. One area that has remained critical has been the distribution sector, where consumers are given electricity and in turn required to pay for services rendered. Owing to issues surrounding electricity supply, consumption on bills and electricity theft, the federal government has introduced several initiatives geared towards protecting the consumer while also providing the investor the enabling environment to get returns on their investment. Today we'll be having an overview of electricity theft in Nigeria. What defines electricity theft and how this has found its way into the Nigerian electricity market? These and more will be interrogated tonight on Electricity Town Hall as we look at electricity theft and security in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NERC. And I have in the studio Assistant General Manager and Head of Consumer Affairs Division of NERC, Dr. Babatunde Zubair. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, David, and thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, likewise, too. We also have in the studio the Principal Manager, Legal Licensing and Compliance Division of the Commission, Ihejirika Ogona Njideka. Also good to have you on board.
Glad to be here. Thank you, David.
Okay, you're welcome. So we'll just go right to it. Doctor, I'll begin with you. What constitutes electricity theft in Nigeria?
Electricity theft simply means or refers to the use of electricity without paying for it or in an authorized manner. In simple terms, it means stealing, and this can come in various forms. Basically, when you don't pay for something, you feel it's free, and this service of electricity, it is not free. It is services that has to be paid for. So if anyone uses it unauthorized, or you don't want to pay for it, or you refuse to pay for it, we consider it as stealing in the sector.
Oh, most times people will just wonder, how do you get to steal electricity? We've heard of vandalism or theft of physical things that can be touched within that sector. But when you now hear electricity theft, you're now wondering, is this also within the category of illegal connections?
I'm sure subsequently we're going to get to that.
Okay.
But I just wanted to define what electricity theft means. Simple terms, it means not paying for a service.
For a service. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In an authorized manner.
Okay.
Two things. You are not paying for the services being rendered to you. You have supply of electricity and you are not paying for it. We consider it as theft. And if you get to the service being provided in an authorized manner, meaning illegal connection, for instance, we also consider that as electricity theft.
Electricity theft. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's just look at some of the common ways people steal electricity in Nigeria. Madam.
When we consider theft of electricity, it's not like you say when you're stealing something tangible. Like if you're defining stealing the criminal code, it says something capable of being stolen. So you think of something tangible. But when you're talking of electricity, there are different ways people steal electricity. Very common is illegal connections. For instance, I have a house. I don't apply to the DISCO for electricity. I just connect my house to the nearest pole. You're stealing electricity. You're not being billed for the electricity you're using. You're not paying for it. So it can also be through tapping. Illegal tapping. You tap electricity from anywhere. In fact, the Act says whether you connect from overhead wires, you connect on the ground, or even underwater, as long as it's without the knowledge and the authority of the distribution company, you're stealing electricity. You can also tamper with electricity. You tamper with your meters, your electricity meters. Your meters are supposed to read the electricity that comes into your household. So when you in any way tamper with the meters such that you consume electricity electricity and
Much
you're
more
not
than
paying,
you're
much more than what you're paying for. Or you bypass the meter such that the meter is not reading the accurate consumption of electricity to that household. You're also stealing electricity. And also sometimes people damage the meters. They damage the meters and they interfere with the correct working of the meters. So you have people having meters in their houses, but those meters are not actually working, but they're still paying for the electricity, but they're not paying for what they're consuming. Then if we want to look wider, in fact, the Act says in the last paragraph of Section 208 of the Electricity Act, it goes on to say using electricity in any way that is not authorized. Then you also want to extend it, people steal things, lines and wires that used to deliver electricity as well.
Okay, Madam Ejirika, you are within the legal sector or department there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure so many cases must have come before you. What are some of the common reasons responsible for this electricity theft?
Even if not from a legal angle, but I know people feel like there's this general feeling that electricity is a social commodity, that's on one hand, and also they don't really understand the fact that it's a business and that the general indices of inflation also affect electricity as a product. So they feel that it's expensive, I can't pay for it. If I can get it without paying for the full worth of it, then I should go. So you have people and even businesses, hotels, businesses, households that just bypass the cuts, so they don't connect everything to the meter and all that.
And when I asked you that question, I just saw the way Doctor reacted. It's like you have something you want to say.
Yes, he does.
Yes, I just put my thought through. I think Nigerian people, they just see this service as free, as if it's national cake, as it were. Most people don't believe they should pay for it. They should believe the service, like she said, meaning that, okay, why can't I have electricity? Why can't I have it?
It should be national cake.
It should be, yes, it should be national cake. So that is the mentality most people have. And we believe in this stuff. It's totally wrong because it's a business. And if you understand how the sector works very well, the only people you see are the distribution companies you interface with. And that is at the last end of this supply that comes into their houses. The chain of the sector, how it comes from generation to transmission up to distribution level, where you people know that you face, that is the last end where you get it. But you can see the steps from generation to transmission, a whole lot goes into it. To generation, to transmission, then to the distribution, where you take the light individually to your houses. That's the only thing the people know. And they believe, okay, these guys, I have supply, or I can cheat. Let me go bypass meter. Let me interfere with the meter, which will amount to inaccurate billing of what you have consumed. And we consider that as a theft because you are not authorized to do so.
Okay, how prevalent is this issue in the Nigerian electricity sector?
It's a major challenge in NERC, electricity theft, the Nigerian electricity supply industry. And it's significantly, it undermines the stability of the power sector because we lose billions of naira in the sector to electricity theft. And as at the last quarter of 2024, our ATE and still losses, that is the losses that's incurred in the sector, stood at about 35.22%.
This is just from theft alone.
Theft alone.
Not vandalism or...
Yes. That we see in terms of technical, commercial, and collection losses stood at 35.22%. So you can see if you have something and you see 35% of it is lost due to these things that I've just mentioned, the technical and commercial and collection losses. That's huge.
It's a huge one.
It's a huge one. And of course, it's affecting the sector.
And thank you so much, Doctor. You're listening to Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria, a program being sponsored by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we will get to find out some of the implications this electricity theft actually has in the electricity sector in Nigeria. Stay with us.
This is Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We will be back shortly.
Electricity thief na when person tap light wey no be im own, connect illegal wire, tamper with meter or bypass light sef. See electricity thief fit make transformer blow. E dey spoil equipment wey dey use electricity. E dey make electricity regulators dem dey increase tariff so dey fit solve the wahala when dis electricity thief dey cause. E dey also cause accident wey fit kpai person, and e if dem catch you, na jail be that o, and then na 3 years at least na you go cool off for there, or you go pay fine, or make e be say you pay fine and still go jail sef. No thief light o, no kpai yourself, make you no make other people sef suffer. You fit stop this one right now. Report electricity thief to your disco. This message na from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. NERC, make light for the day.
Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria.
Welcome back. It's still Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We're discussing electricity theft and security in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NERC. And we're having an overview of electricity theft in Nigeria. And we have been speaking with an Assistant General Manager and Head of Consumer Affairs Division of NERC, that's NERC, Dr. Babatunde Zuber, and also the Principal Manager, Legal Licensing and Compliance Division of the Commission, Ihejirika Ogunna Njideka. Thank you once again for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. So we just get right into the second half of this now, and I'll begin with you, Ihejirika. What are some of the consequences for individuals or companies involved in electricity theft?
Yeah, there are severe consequences for electricity theft in Nigeria. Under the Commission's regulatory instruments, the consumer protection regulations, as well as the order on authorized access, stealing electricity has consequences. The first of which the discos may disconnect your electricity. I think that's speaks for itself. And then that reconnection, you will not be reconnected to supply until you regularize your supply. And in addition to regularizing your supply, you'd have to pay certain charges. There are 3 charges. The first is an administrative charge, and the amount of the charge varies on your customer class and the frequency of violation. So for non-MD customers, that's non-maximum demand customers like single-phase or 3-phase customers, an administrative charges of 100,000 applies to single-phase and 200,000 to 3-phase customers for first offenders, and then for subsequent offenders, for single-phase 150,000 naira, and for 3-phase customers 300,000. For MD customers, the bigger customers, your companies, hotels, and all that, the administrative charge is 450% of your last authorized monthly consumption. And then if there are subsequent offenses, the charge will be 600% of that. And I think the Commission was very deliberate in doing this to act and serve as a deterrent for electricity theft. Then you also have to pay, secondly, reconnection costs. 10,000 if you're a non-MD customer and 50,000 if you're an MD customer. In addition, finally, you would have to be back billed. So assuming you've been using electricity for 8 months without paying for it, so as long as there's an established period to show that this was your last correct, accurate bill, and then 8 months later they discovered that this theft has been going on, the disco would back bill you for that period. So you're going to pay for loss of revenue for the period of unauthorized usage.
Oh, that's a whole lot to consume here. For Nigerians, they'll do anything to free themselves. Once it's money that's involved, they just pay and let's go. Are there other higher penalties like jail time also when it gets to all those kind of stuff? Are there penalties like that?
Yes, a lot. Because the EA 2023, that's Electricity Act 2023, imposed a jail time of 3 years if you are caught stealing electricity. It's a crime in this country for someone to steal electricity. Either the penalties includes tapping electricity. Okay. You see, go by some villages or some houses.
That's the
offense.
offense.
Yes, that's the offense I'm talking about.
Okay.
And the penalty will be pulled upon you if you are found wanting.
Okay.
In terms of tapping of electricity. I don't know if you've seen how people tap electricity before, David.
Sir, is this a very corny way of letting me
checking whether something is going on?
Sir, I have no idea. I don't even know how electricity is tapped.
Okay. What I mean by tapping, from people tap even from directly from the lines.
From the line.
They have the wire that gets the supply direct to their own connection inside their house. They can do this at night, and by morning they take the wires away. If you have not seen it, so I'm telling you, we are in the sector and we see a whole lot of criminal activities by our people.
Okay.
Yes, it's happening and it's happening everywhere. It's not in Abuja, it's not all over the country. I can tell you, based on my experience, that we have seen people tapping electricity. Not tampering, tapping. Like palm wine tapper.
And most times that can be very dangerous
Very,
because
very dangerous.
there are not specified cables that are being used to do that.
They don't even know that.
And there are so many cases we see of deaths and accidents, and sometimes it don't even involve the people that do the tapping. So it might just be an innocent third person that gets electrocuted from that.
I think we should add that to the consequences of electricity theft,
Yeah.
death. It can actually occur. So, Doctor, you were listing them out.
Yes, I'm listing them out. So tapping is what I've just explained to you now. And tampering, when you tamper with the meter installation, just for you to get access for the meter not to read accurately, or you decide to take some loads off your meter.
I have seen that one.
You have seen that one.
Yes.
Households, hotels, offices, the larger the equipment that consume electricity, the time to take them out, they now leave the lighting point, which will not allow the meter to read accurately. We have seen that a lot. Thank God you say you have seen it. So these are the things we see in the industry, for the things that people do. So the higher equipment that will take the bulk of they will take it out, AC, ironing board, microwave, all those small things, they take them out and just do connection for the bulbs alone, meaning that whatever your reading is going to be very small. And of course, bypass of meter.
Okay.
People bypass meter, meaning that the supply that will read their meter reading will be bypassed and go and loom it up with somebody. They do a whole lot.
Okay, I think that's the difference between the bypass and the tapping now.
They are different
Okay,
things.
okay.
So that also is what we have seen in the industry. And like I said, at least 3 years imprisonment or a fine of 2 to 6 times the financial gain, what the industry will have lost if you are caught.
Okay, let me ask quickly, what are the conviction rates here? Have you had such issues?
Yes, we do, because when the onus, right, lies on the distribution company to prove to us at the commission that the consumer actually bypassed.
Okay, because
Or they have tampered
just
with
to
it.
sound a note of warning to listeners that these things are not just in theory, it can actually be enforced. They are being enforced, and there are people serving jail term for issues like this.
Yes, people do, because when we like it to be proven, you have to prove it at the service provider.
Okay.
Pictorial, video evidence, and we have seen it. How we see how people bypass meter, how they tamper with meter. And again, you funny enough, it's the consumer again that will come and cry to the commission that this is what the service provider is charging them.
Okay.
And at times again, you can discover that it's even the service provider that wants to get more from the customer. So it's a two-side thing. But what is more common is our people stealing electricity. And all we say is that the distribution companies, they need to prove it to us that this customer in particular has really tampered with their meter in a way of electricity theft, and the person has to pay, like I said, 3 to 6 times of the financial gain that should have come to the sector with people that consumer, and at least 3 years jail term.
Okay, Doctor, thank you. And also, Madam, let's get to another issue. He talked about proving that the consumer has done this and done that. Now, let's get to the point of how do you get to detect that these people are stealing electricity? And how do you get to detect and some of the challenges involved? Because we have gated houses in some areas where you don't have access, easy access. So how do you go about this?
This is very easy to detect. Okay, for instance, a household, a consumer, you have a prepaid meter in your house. And normally when we go to your vending history, that's how you recharge. We see that probably the last 3 months you'll be vending 100,000 each, for instance, to use the month. And suddenly, your consumption dropped to 20,000 a month for a very long period of time. How do you want to tell us that you're not selling electricity?
Some of my people jackpot.
The jackpot
They
for
jackpot
how
so-
long?
There'll be evidence of your jappering.
For how long? Those are the things we see on the field. You say that, okay, fine, this is what has happened. It can't be consistent. Yeah, I understand some people can vend 100,000 and can last them 3 months, depending on their consumption. But there are several ways back, because it's not just, you are just buying that and it's just there. It's being monitored, and it can be seen, your usage can
Okay,
be seen.
fine. That's the area where you now find something suspicious. Now, let's go to the actual getting to them now. Now, let's say the person is, by your definition, is doing bypass.
Yes,
And you approach this particular property.
yes.
Now, NEPA officials are at the gate. Of course, they won't just throw their gates open. So what happens between that time, let's say they're able to disconnect whatever it is, and when you come inside, you realize that, okay, everything is in place, and you can't, it's not visible what they've done actually. How do you balance it? Because now, you said something about you have to prove. So how do you go about that? I'm sure you have these challenges.
Yes, at the back end, I will see what you are consuming. And that is why the query comes that what happened to your vending history.
Yes, but you have come and there's no physical evidence, because before they let you into the gate, the person has changed whatever it is they did.
Yes.
How do you tackle that?
How do you tackle that? It will show from the vending history. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yes, sir.
And also sometimes the discos have to do some police work.
Okay.
Because I know I've had instances of cases where they might have had to go at odd hours, so because
take them
sometimes
unawares.
take them unawares. So if they notice that something is wrong and they follow the trend, sometimes they might go at odd hours, but they can't go alone. They get law enforcement, to assist them. And then over time, you go once, the person might be smart once, the person might be smart second time, but you can't always be smart, Yeah.
Because for context, there was a case recently in an estate, and NEPA officials had detected something like this that you said, and they came in.
Apologies.
The officials had detected this. The discos had detected this, and when they came in, just as we said, the security men held them back until the person did put everything all together, and they came in. I think the officials got angry and disconnected the estate. So they were like, until they fish out that person that has done this. They were not. So it was a back and forth up until they were. I don't know how they sorted it out, but I got to hear this because the estate was close by and they didn't have light. So we were trying to find out, and they told us this also happened. And all of
Okay, you see, the sector is moving away from this. I think this can only happen to those people that don't have prepayment meter. Yes, I can tell you that. Those are the ones that they build them based on caps. Those are the people that can do that, because the meter reading is just within you. But you that you have an history of your vending history, it will show your consumption cannot just drop drastically. And for a very long period of time, people say, okay, now this is summer, right? The children are on holiday, you can have high consumption. You understand that, right? And probably when they go to just mommy and daddy at home, you can understand maybe the consumption is low, they don't use more heater, they use less of AC. Or during the rainy season, where we use less of AC and all that, the pattern will show. There's no way somehow will be caught, no matter how brilliant or sharp.
Okay, on a lighter note, doctor, if I've been vending 20,000 naira for the past 1 year, and all of a sudden I'm now vending 100,000 naira, would you raise eyebrows to come and check?
Yes, probably you have a laundry shop in your house.
You're no longer a residential customer.
Okay, so you
we will ask.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, meaning if that happens, does that mean my consumption payment will have to change also, moving me from residential to commercial?
Yeah. That was proving that, okay, now you used to be a residential, but now you are now doing other things that makes your consumption go higher. Then, of course, you have to apply for it, and you'll be changing.
I actually thought you sit back.
You'll be reclassified as someone that is now the commercial. It's no more residential.
Oh, that's interesting.
So like I'm saying, the penalty for electricity theft, I've not finished on that.
Okay.
The first offender,
Go ahead,
right?
doctor.
You're going to pay 500,000 naira fine or 3 to 5 years imprisonment. Let people understand that if you thief electricity
Theft
and you
of
are
lines
caught
and materials.
on the act,
Penalty.
yes, for lines and materials, theft of lines and materials, you're going to pay 500,000 naira fine or 3 to 5 years imprisonment. If you repeat that offense, because it's going to be on record that
you've
not
done
David, not your own David, maybe another David somewhere else was caught on theft of line and materials, you will pay 1 million naira or 5 years imprisonment. Right. And if they receive stolen electrical materials from you, you know all these things happen. People vandalize transformer and go and sell it.
True.
People to vandalize cables. People vandalize aluminium conductor and go and sell it. You are liable to 14 years imprisonment or up to a fine of 3 times the value of the stolen items or both. That's what the law says.
I hope Nigerians are listening to this and they're real.
They are real.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, for letting us in on that one. So let's come to one of the real issues now on this. Let's know how deep this runs. What are the real implications of electricity theft in the electricity sector in Nigeria?
Electricity theft The effects and the implications are far-reaching. They're far-reaching. They just don't affect the sector financially, technically, and even socially. It can lead to overloading transformers and equipment, leading to frequent blackouts, unreliable supply, especially for honest and paying customers. So what you're doing is just not affecting you, but it's affecting several other persons.
As we wrap up, any final words to the consumer, Doctor?
Yeah, the final word that electricity theft is a crime and is punishable under the law. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was so apt and brave. Madam Ejirika, do you have any final words?
We all want the electricity sector in Nigeria to improve, so let's do our own parts. Let's pay for the electricity we consume, and let's make our sector work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's do our part. Do not engage in electricity theft. This is where we end today's edition of Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. And I've been speaking with an Assistant General Manager and Head of Consumer Affairs Division of NERC, Dr. Babatunde Zubair. Welcome to our studio once again.
Thank you, David.
And I've also been speaking with the Principal Manager, Legal Licensing and Compliance Division of the Commission, Ejirika Ogonna Njideka. Thank you for your insightful contributions and also coming for the program.
Thank you. It was nice to be here.
Appreciation to the production team, Studio Manager Phineas Udoyo, Facilitator Conrad Labi, Producer Sunday Goche. Special thanks to our executive producers Husseina Akila and Sushma Key. I'm David Umur. See you next Monday for another edition of Electricity Town Hall. Goodbye.